Yesterday, we did the most broken shotguns in COD history. It was a fan-requested topic, and then somebody in the comments said, why don't you do the most broken assault rifles? And I said, why not? You're right. Assault rifles are some of the most popular guns in every Call of Duty game, which makes absolute sense given the fact they're usually the most straightforward weapon class out there. In the grand scheme of things, the majority of COD assault rifles, they've been pretty well balanced, but sometimes they're not. What is up, everybody? Jimmy or Chaos. Today, we're going to be talking about 20 of the dumbest, most broken assault rifles in Call of Duty history. Like I said, we did the shotguns, and let's move on to another weapon class. And just like with the shotgun list, we're going to be looking at pre-patch rifles on this list. So it's going to get pretty crazy. Let me know in the comments what you think the dumbest, most broken AR in COD history is. Thank you for all the love, everybody. I do read every single comment on every single video, and we are trying to climb out of the immortal ooze and hit 3 million subscribers this year. So to all of you that are following along, I truly, truly appreciate you guys. At number 20 today, the STG-44 pre-patch in Vanguard. It's never a great sign when the starting assault rifle is completely broken. That's what happened right here with the STG-44 in Vanguard. Also, just to give you guys a heads up, I'm on one today. I'm almost through a full pot of coffee. So this video is going to have some energy. The starting assault rifle that was hands down the best gun in the game on launch day seemed like every time Sledgehammer patched up one of the broken gunsmith builds, a new one would pop up, take its place. I guess that's something that's going to happen when you let everybody put 10 attachments on their guns. But even without attachments, the STG was busted on launch day. Quick, insane 3-shot kill range. It barely kicked when you fired, and the list goes on and on. Vanguard was fighting a losing battle from day one because it was a game that nobody wanted. But when you turn the game on, the first gun that everybody had access to, it was completely broken. That's not a great first impression. At number 19 today, the Kilo 141 in Warzone 2020. Raise your hand if you missed the classic Warzone days during COVID. Those were some good times, mostly good. There was a period of time when the Kilo was basically the only gun that anybody was using because it was so easy to use in any scenario. The fire rate was moderate, damage per shot was okay, but what really made the gun shine and broken, busted glory was the accuracy and the range. It was incredibly accurate. Could be loaded up with 100 rounds at a time, my friends, an assault rifle. Carried a maximum damage for a really long time, which made it the best mid and long-range gun in the game while also being stupid easy to use. The Kilo meta dominated Warzone for a long time during the later months of the Modern Warfare 2019 era of Warzone 1, and that's probably why it was such a fan favorite. At number 18 today, the AS-Val pre-patch in Modern Warfare 2019. Now, it was broken in several ways. We know this after it was added to Modern Warfare's DLC. When the gun came out, one of the attachments was bugged and it allowed it to shoot through the entire map for whatever reason. But even after the bugged attachments were fixed, the AS-Val was completely overpowered because the DPS and the time to kill was off the charts. The built-in suppressor also kept you off the radar and maintained that ridiculous time to kill, and it quickly became the most sweaty weapon of choice for pub stompers and skill-based matchmaking champs. So it went from being literally broken with the infinite range ammo conversion, and then it was just overpowered after the attachments were fixed. Yeah. At number 17, is this how do you say this? Automaton? I don't even know how to, automaton pre-patch in Vanguard? I don't care. You guys can let me know how to say that. But now the STG-44, obviously overpowered. We talked about it. But the A-word gun also made a name for itself with the insane fire rate and the laser-like accuracy. The damage wasn't quite as high, but the time to kill was absurd, and since the accuracy was insane, you could shred through anyone and everything from any distance. So yeah, the STG was obviously broken, but the A-word gun was broken in other situations. Thankfully, the STG and the A-word were both nerfed a while into Vanguard's life cycle, at least I think they were. But they were easily the best guns in the game when everything kicked off. In both pre-patch versions, they belong here. At number 16, the ICR-7 pre-patch in Black Ops 4. We're going to be saying a lot of pre-patch, my friends. Now, the ICR's whole appeal was its accuracy. But when Black Ops 4 came out, the accuracy was too good. It was too good with how much damage it was producing. The ICR genuinely had no recoil. And generally speaking, if a gun has to be this accurate, the damage can't be super high or you're in trouble. I'm not saying the ICR was a melt machine, but it was way too easy to use for the kind of power it was packing. It kind of took the skill out of multiplayer for a while, and Treyarch rightfully patched it up to make it a little less dominant in every scenario. But the initial version of the ICR, it was ridiculous. Literally turned the game into a point-and-click adventure game. It did. Speaking of point-and-click adventure games, we now arrive at number 15. Don't worry, I wasn't going to forget it this time, my friends. The GRAW 556 pre-patch Warzone 2020. Who remembers this era? The GRAW was the main competitor to the M4A1. Which one did you lean to? I mean, it featured slightly lower damage, slightly lower fire rate, but also slightly better accuracy. Now, the GRAW and the M4 were supposed to have a Coke-Pepsi rivalry in multiplayer, but once you moved over to Warzone, I think there was a very clear winner. It was the GRAW at that time. In its prime, laser beam accuracy, phenomenal bullet velocity. You barely had to lead your shots, and the stupid time to kill was basically at every range. It got so bad that people were basically just dropping their sniper rifles in favor of the GRAW. It was more reliable to spam the GRAW from across the map than it was to line up a sniper shot and factor in things like bullet drop, travel time, all that stuff. It was the best gun in Warzone for months, and it was eventually nerfed pretty hard, but man, that was a crazy time to play Warzone. At number 14, the AN-94 in Black Ops 2. We already know, right? The final unlock actually done right, not like the fad from Modern Warfare 3. The AN-94, most accurate gun in COD history. No, not the most accurate, but it was one of the most accurate. Insane 3-shot kill range. Since there was the 2-round hyperburst feature, you could instantly delete people from across the map, all complete with one of the greatest firing sounds and reload animations we've ever had. It was worth the grind. It was a nice change of pace after a couple years of final unlocks that sucked. The AN-94 was never actually nerfed, I don't think. You can boot the game up right now, and I think it's just as crazy as it was on day one. Now, there's been other versions of it throughout COD history. None of them even came close to capturing the legacy and the power of the original. At number 13, the Type 95 pre-patch in Modern Warfare 3 2011. Raise your hand if you actually experienced this. Hardly any of you probably were there for this era, but for a very brief period of time, the Type 95 was the best gun in Modern Warfare 3. 3-round burst, capable of a 2-shot kill while also sporting laser-like accuracy and really good handling speeds. It would delete you in the blink of an eye and then delete the buddy standing next to you before he could even blink. Not very many guns in classic Modern Warfare 3 ever got nerfed, which is probably why the MP7 remained untouched for the entirety of the life cycle. But the Type 95, it got hit with the nerf hammer hard, to the point you basically never saw it online again. Infinity Ward had this habit of putting completely broken, busted rifles in their game, and the Type 95, it wasn't the last example. At number 12, I got you guys, don't worry, MSBS pre-patch Ghost. 2 years after the Type 95 dominated Modern Warfare 3, IW unleashed the MSBS in COD Ghost. Basically the same gun, second time around. 3-round burst, absurd fire rate, 2-shot kill potential, laser-like accuracy, genuinely unbeatable time to kill, close range, long range, it didn't matter. The MSBS was the best gun in the game by a landslide. There was no reason to use any other gun regardless of the map you were playing on, regardless of the game mode that you queued up for, it didn't matter. They patched it really fast after launch. It was hit hard to the point that it ended up being mid-tier in the grand scheme of things. But for those first couple weeks of Ghost lifecycle, man oh man, the MSBS was a freak of nature. At number 11, the MV4 and Infinite Warfare. I don't need to tell you guys, but I guess I have to. A lot of Infinity War guns on the list today. I know, it's interesting. MV4, we know, wasn't that powerful on paper, but the most popular gun in the game for a few months of Infinite Warfare's lifecycle because, I'll give you a second, it was easy to use. Fire rate moderate, handling speed's okay, time to kill very competitive, super consistent because of the range, no matter where you were on the map, 3 to 4 shot kill, blah, 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 yada, 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 default unlock. You already know. I'm not going to waste any more time. You know. At number 10, the Maddox pre-patch, Black Ops 4. Now, the Maddox was one of the competitive weapons of choice in Black Ops 4 for a while. You saw a whole lot of it online because even though Treyarch clearly meant for it to be a high-skill, high-reward assault rifle, it was really just a jack-of-all-trades that wasn't hard to use. So sure, recoil was tad higher than other rifles, but it wasn't hard to control. The reward for managing that recoil was a very quick time to kill at all ranges, made it pretty clearly the best gun in the game. That was eventually patched to give it more of a defined place in the sandbox instead of being the best gun in the game, but I mean, it was an AR that could be used for every scenario. It was nutty. If you think the Black Ops 7 remake is strong, you probably never experienced the pre-patch Black Ops 4 original. At number 9, the XM4 pre-patch in Black Ops 6. Now, we talked a bunch about Infinity War guns, so I guess we have to dump on Treyarch for a second here. And frankly, I'm not really sure how this gun slipped through the cracks because it was obviously overpowered. It took a long time for there to be a significant nerf. The XM4 in this game was your starting AR, and it was a monster. Fire rate was through the roof. The recoil, there wasn't any. The damage was very generous. It was a buffet of damage, and there was so many crazy attachments you could equip to buff the already good buff great stats. And since it was your starting AR, that also meant it was one of the only guns you saw online for the first few weeks of Black Ops 6 lifecycle because everybody and their mother had it leveled up and kitted out. Treyarch finally nerfed it, but it took like 2 months to take care of it. It was the best gun in the game on day one. It held that top spot for a long time. Now, I have no idea how Treyarch let the gun out the door the way they did, and I have no idea why it took them so long to patch it, but they did. Or they didn't. And since we're on the topic of stupid M4 type rifles, at number 8, the M4A1. Modern Warfare 2019. That's right, both Treyarch and Infinity Ward like making broken M4 rifles good. At least the M4 in Modern Warfare wasn't a default unlock, but it still only required you to grind to like level 12 or something low like that. So basically everyone had it within a couple hours of booting up the game. The 2019 M4, immediately one of the most annoying rifles in COD history. It was aggressively versatile. How's that? Fire rate was high, damage generous. It was a melt machine, close, medium, long range. It didn't matter. Once you started messing around with all the potential gunsmith builds, it was over. The M4 was subject to a handful of nerfs, yes, but it never kicked it off the top of the AR list. If you boot up Modern Warfare 2019 right now, which I don't know why you would, you'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm not sure why you'd boot that game up. It's a giant pile of dog vomit. Whatever. It's the coffee speaking. It's not really me, guys. At number 7. The Krig 6 in Black Ops Cold War, one of the most dominant ARs in Black Ops history, and that's saying something. It was known for being the ultimate laser beam rifle, basically the new version of the ICR-7 from Black Ops 4. I mean, laser beam, time to kill was great, no downside. I mean, I guess the iron sights were pretty bad, but who cares? The game had 30 different optic attachments for assault rifles. Swap it out, never think about it again. The Krig 6, one of the easiest guns in COD history to use. Despite even that ease of use, the damage was really generous, made it an S-tier weapon. Since we're on Black Ops Cold War, at number 6, the XM4 in Black Ops Cold War. Might as well put a second XM4 on the list because even though the Black Ops 6 version was nuts, the Cold War version was even more of a problem for an even longer amount of time because it seemed like Treyarch just couldn't figure out how to properly nerf it. It was way too good. And way too good at really too many things. Fire rate similar to the Krig, but the recoil slightly higher, but in return, you got higher damage. Gave it an even more intimidating time to kill, and since it was the XM4, that meant it came with a million possible attachments you could use to completely eliminate all the potential downsides that came with the damage buff. I mean, it wasn't quite as much of a laser beam as the Krig, but it was more melty. Gave it a huge following in Black Ops Cold War. You might disagree with me putting it this high, but honestly, I think both it and the Krig belong here. These were far and away the best ARs in the game for the entirety of the life cycle, and they were just two sides of the same coin. Krig, slightly weaker laser beam. XM4, slightly bouncier melt machine. Now we arrive at the top 5. The FAMAS in Black Ops. Now, I don't mean to pick on Treyarch with so many entries in a row, but the FAMAS, come on, has to be. Second highest fire rate in the game with an absolutely crazy damage profile, killed in 3 shots at close and 4 at long. I mean, that's consistency. It's hard to justify taking anything else into battle, and the entirety of the Black Ops multiplayer experience, which I was there for the whole thing, was based around whether or not you could keep up with the FAMAS. Believe it or not, Treyarch actually did nerf the recoil once. They never touched the damage profile or the range drop-off, but they did make it kick a little more. And obviously that patch didn't actually do anything because it was the most popular gun in the game, both before and after the patch went live. Heck, a lot of you probably forgot that patch even came out because of how little it did to take the FAMAS off the top of the power rankings. Absolutely one of the most broken, game-defining assault rifles in COD history. Now, some of you would put it higher. I get it. I considered it. But after you see the other 4 rifles, I think you'll agree. At number 4, the bar pre-patch in COD World War II. This, I think, was one of the fastest nerfs in COD history. When COD World War II first dropped, it was riddled with technical issues, server problems. I think that's why the balancing of the bar kind of flew under the radar with Sledgehammer's testing team. But with that being said, still ridiculous enough to get an emergency nerf a few days after launch because it was unreasonably good. The original version of the bar, there wasn't anything wrong with it. It was a 3-shot kill anywhere. I'm not kidding when I say the original version was broken, and once people were grinding it to a high enough level to get their hands on it, it was the only gun worth using because of how dramatically it outperformed everything else in the game. Sledgehammer nerfed it several times throughout the first few weeks of the game, and if you boot up now, it's balanced. But the 1.0 version had to be here. The game was a complete mess when it launched, yes, and yet Sledgehammer still took time out of fixing the servers so they could rush out an emergency nerf to the bar. That says everything. That's the proof in the pudding. At number 3, the ACR 6.8 in Modern Warfare 3 2011, the best ACR, right? Complete opposite side of the emergency nerf spectrum here. We have a gun that was so overpowered and completely dominated the game, never touched, not one single time, for reasons completely unknown to me. The ACR 6.8, successor to the classic ACR in classic Modern Warfare 2, but instead of being a faster firing, lighter hitting laser beam like the original ACR, it was a slower firing, much harder hitting laser beam. I mean, it dominated the AR category. In fact, it dominated the game as a whole, because even if you're using it at point blank range, the 2-shot kill potential gave it a better TTK than most of the SMGs. It was one of the only guns you ever saw online because of how thoroughly it outclassed everything in the game, except maybe the MP7 in the right hands. I don't know. You let me know. I mean, up close, 2-tap machine. At mid and long range, 3-tap machine. 0 recoil. You were never going to have any trouble hitting those shots. Completely broken AR. Absolutely had to be in the top 3. Never nerfed. Not one time. At number 2, the BAL 27 Obsidian Steed Advanced Warfare. Now, Sledgehammer actually did nerf this gun once or twice, but it did nothing. I mean, to the point most people still think the BAL was never nerfed at all, but it was. And if you nerf a gun and people forget you nerfed it, that's a sign the gun was too good and you should have gone further. But the default BAL 27, it was an issue from launch day because of how versatile it was and how easy to use it was. And then you had the Steed, the variant that juiced all of its stats while offering no real downsides to balance things out. Did I mention this thing was only available in RNG supply drop, so you literally couldn't use it unless you got super lucky with a drop that you either paid for in bulk or grinded hours online? If there was someone online with a BAL Obsidian Steed, the entire lobby was going to be chasing them down, trying to kill them to pick it off their body so they could have a chance to use the legend. But if you were going to have a lot of problems actually killing the BAL user, because they were probably going to melt you in every gunfight because their gun was literally better than anything you could have in your hands, besides maybe the ASM-1 Speakeasy. It was game-breaking. Definitely had to be here. Surpassed only by one monster. And this last monster should be an obvious pick and piece of COD history. At number 1, the M16A4 in Modern Warfare Remastered. Yes, the COD 4 M16 was a freak of nature, but the M16 and MWR was even more of an issue because we had improved server quality on the game, improved average skill of the COD community. 3-round burst laser only needed 2 shots to kill, despite it firing 3 rounds at lightning speed, and they were hit scan bullets, so you didn't need to lead your shots at all. Point, click, target, erased. They couldn't react. The M16 was a plague in Modern Warfare Remastered. I can't blame you for spamming it because it was so drastically better than everything else in the game in every situation. Back in COD 4, the servers were pretty crappy, so a precision burst rifle like this was hard to use at times, and it would sometimes feel like your bullets weren't connecting. But the MWR, I mean, where the game felt so much smoother and the bullets were responsive, it was a massive issue. It took over the game. So if you ask me, this was the most broken AR in COD history. Let me know where you guys agree or disagree. I have to go drink some water. I'll see you soon.